Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you today? May you always be healthy and full of blessings. Before starting, let's start by reciting a prayer. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. May this prayer be a way for us to get intercession from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the Day of Judgment. Amin. Hello, Muslim friends. Meet again with the Islamic Lantern channel. Before we continue, it would be nice if we support this channel by clicking the subscribe, like, comment, and share buttons. Come on, let's listen to the story. Malta, a small island nation in the Mediterranean Sea, may not come to mind often when discussing the Islamic world. With a predominantly Roman Catholic population and a long history as part of the Christian European world, Malta has a unique role as a bridge between Europe and North Africa. However, beneath its beautiful beaches and Baroque architecture lies a Muslim community that is slowly but surely making its presence felt. Early history of Islam in Malta. The traces of Islam in Malta date back to the 9th century AD, when Arabs from North Africa conquered the island in 870. For more than 2 centuries, Malta was under Muslim rule, bringing with them Islamic cultural, linguistic, and architectural influences. Although Malta was later recaptured by the Normans from Sicily in the 11th century, the influence of Islam remained even in the Maltese language, which still contains many Arabic words to this day. However, after the Christian conquest, especially under the Knights of the Order of St. John in the 16th century, Islam was gradually suppressed and almost disappeared from public life. For centuries, it was a virtually invisible minority. Today, Islam is a minority religion in Malta. Out of a population of around 520,000, only around 3,000 to 4,000 are Muslims, or less than 1% of the total population. Most Muslims in Malta are immigrants, either from North African countries, such as Libya and Tunisia, or from South Asia, such as Pakistan and Bangladesh. There are also a small number of converts who are native Maltese. The Muslim community in Malta is generally peaceful and secure, although they face challenges in terms of social representation, religious education, and the construction of places of worship. The only major mosque in Malta is the Malta Islamic Center located in Corradino, Paola. The mosque was built with assistance from the Libyan government in 1978 and serves as a center for religious and social activities for Muslims there. In addition to the mosque, the center also houses an Islamic school and a space for various community activities. This is where Muslims hold congregational prayers, celebrate holidays such as Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, and hold Islamic education classes for children and adults. As a small minority, Muslims in Malta still face a number of challenges. One of the most prominent is the lack of adequate places of worship outside of Paola, especially in and around the capital Valletta. In addition, negative stereotypes about Islam that often appear in Western media also sometimes affect public perceptions of the Muslim community. However, there are also efforts by the Maltese government and civil society organizations to encourage better integration. The Maltese government recognizes Islam as one of the official religions in the country and grants Muslims freedom of religion. Muslim children are allowed to opt out of Catholic religious lessons in public schools, and Muslim communities can apply for permits to hold religious activities openly. Some local Muslims have also begun to engage in interfaith dialogue, establish good relations with the Catholic community, and participate in social activities to show that Islam is a religion of peace and full of human values. The phenomenon of converts or Maltese people who embrace Islam has also begun to emerge, although in small numbers. They are generally attracted to Islam after undergoing a spiritual search or through personal relationships with Muslims. The younger generation of Muslims in Malta are also beginning to show their Islamic identity more openly, while still prioritizing an attitude of tolerance and social integration. Social media and wider access to information have helped young Maltese Muslims connect with the global community, learn more about Islam, and at the same time face the challenges of identity as Muslims in a secular European country. Thousands of Maltese convert to Islam, a spiritual phenomenon that cannot be ignored. Thousands of Maltese have converted to Islam in the past decade. From the quiet old towns to the modern streets of Valletta, the once unfamiliar call to prayer is now recognizable. Names like Muhammad, Aisha, and Omar are appearing on civil documents. And most surprising of all, many of them are native Maltese, descendants of Catholic families who have practiced the faith for hundreds of years. The rise of Islam in Malta is not the result of propaganda, nor is it the result of political power or cultural pressure. It comes from an inner search, from a thirst for truth, from questions left unanswered by modern life. Many Maltese converts say they began questioning the old teachings as teenagers. They saw the contradiction between formal church life and the true spirituality they were seeking. Others opened up when they interacted with Muslim immigrants who came to work in Malta. They discovered a friendly, strong family values and a disciplined way of praying that made them ask themselves, what is the secret of their lives? Then they started reading the Quran, the Hadith, the history of the Prophet Muhammad, and that's where the big change began. Claire, a 34-year-old Maltese woman, used to be active in her church community, but after going through a difficult time in her life, she began searching for deeper meaning. I found great peace in prayer, she says. It was like talking directly to God without any intermediaries. There were no empty rituals. It was just me and him. Liam, a young Maltese man who used to be active in the nightlife, says that Islam saved him from his emptiness. I was looking for something that would give me direction. I found Islam not as a foreign culture, but as a light that guided my life, he says with tears in his eyes. They are not one and only cases. According to unofficial data from Muslim community centers in Malta, at least 2,500 to 3,000 native Maltese have embraced Islam in the past 10 years. This number continues to grow every year and is expected to increase as the younger generation opens up to interfaith spiritual pursuits. The Islamic Center of Malta in Corradino, Paola, is now not only a place of worship, but also a center for learning and strengthening the faith of converts. Every week, introductory classes are held, especially for Maltese who are interested in learning about Islam. Books, open discussions, and Islamic studies are offered in English and Maltese. For converts, the community is a place of refuge and faith strengthening. Many face pressure from their families, even social exclusion. But the support of fellow Muslims, both immigrants and locals, is a source of strength. At first, I was afraid that my family wouldn't accept me, says Joseph, who has now changed his name to Yusuf. But over time, they saw that I was changing into a better person, more patient, not drinking, more responsible. Slowly, they began to respect my choice. Despite the growing number of converts, life as a Muslim in Malta is not without its challenges. Islam is still often misunderstood by some in the media and the public. Symbols of Islam, such as the hijab or beard, sometimes trigger negative comments, although that is changing with increasing awareness in interfaith education. The Maltese government itself, which upholds the value of religious freedom, provides space for Muslims to practice their faith. Although there are not many mosques yet, several small prayer rooms have begun to appear in various regions in response to the growth of the community. Most encouragingly, many of these converts have not only embraced Islam personally, but have also actively spread the peaceful message of Islam through social media, seminars, and even art and music. Islam has not only grown as an identity, but also as a spiritual expression that lives in contemporary Maltese culture. This phenomenon seems to be a repetition of history. In the 9th to 11th centuries, Malta was under Muslim rule, and that legacy is still preserved in the local language and culture. Maltese words derived from Arabic, ancient architectural patterns, and even place names show that Islam once lived in this land. Now, after 1,000 years, Islam has not returned by the sword, but by the heart. It did not come through conquest, but through seeking. It did not bring power, but peace. And thousands of Maltese are witnesses to that truth. Muslim life in Malta. With a population of around 3,000 to 4,000, less than 1% of the country's population, Muslims in Malta are not the majority, but they are a reflection of resilience, adaptability, and courage in upholding their faith in a country where the majority of citizens follow other religions. The Muslim community in Malta is very diverse. Most are immigrants, especially from Libya, Tunisia, Egypt, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Somalia, and Nigeria, who came to work, do business, or flee conflict in their home countries. In addition, there are also a number of local Maltese who have converted to Islam, converts, a number that continues to increase every year. Amid this diversity, they are united in their common faith, supporting each other in a small community full of solidarity. The center of Muslim life in Malta is the Malta Islamic Center, located in the Corradino area of Paola. Built in 1978 with assistance from the Libyan government, it remains the only major mosque in Malta to this day. Here, Muslims gather for Friday prayers, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha prayers, and hold religious studies and education activities. In addition to the main mosque, there are also several small prayer rooms scattered around towns such as Marsa, Masida, and Birkirkara, usually small spaces rented by the community for daily prayers. However, the limited number of places of worship remains a challenge. In towns far from Paola, Muslims often have difficulty finding a place to pray together, especially during Ramadan or Islamic holidays. At the Islamic Center, there is a weekend school for Muslim children where they are taught to read the Quran, basic fiqh, and Islamic history. This activity is very important for Muslim families who want to maintain their children's religious identity in a secular environment. For converts, there are introductory Islamic classes in English and Maltese, as well as spiritual guidance from imams and community volunteers. Many of them actively share their spiritual journeys, becoming an inspiration to fellow seekers of truth. Ramadan is a very special time for the Maltese Muslim community. While fasting in a non-Muslim environment can be challenging, the holy month actually brings together members of the community. Mosques hold daily iftars, Taraweeh prayers, and Quran readings throughout the night. Living as a Muslim in a non-Muslim majority country certainly has its challenges. One of the biggest challenges is the cultural divide and the lack of understanding of Islam in society. Although Malta legally guarantees freedom of religion, Muslims often face negative stereotypes, especially women who wear the hijab or men who dress traditionally in Muslim clothing. Muslim women who wear the hijab sometimes receive curious looks or snide comments. However, many choose to remain steadfast in their identity. "My hijab is not a restriction, it is my freedom as a woman," says Salima, a Tunisian Muslim student living in Masida. The availability of halal food is also a challenge. While there are some shops and restaurants that serve halal food, the choices are limited. As a result, many Muslim families prefer to cook at home and share information about trusted halal shops. Despite being a minority, Muslims in Malta try to actively contribute to the social and economic life of the country. Many of them work in the service, construction, health, and education sectors. Some also open restaurants, grocery stores, and other service businesses. Moreover, the Muslim community is active in social activities, such as community service, charity work, and interfaith dialogue. Several local Islamic organizations even regularly hold open discussions about Islam for non-Muslims, as a form of education and an effort to strengthen tolerance. It is also important to note that Muslims in Malta are not just guests, but have become part of the community. Their children were born in Malta, speak Maltese and English, and grow up with friends from various backgrounds. This second generation is now building their own identity as Muslims and passionate Maltese citizens. Being a Muslim in Malta is not an easy journey. It is a struggle to maintain faith amidst the flow of secularism and different views. But that is precisely where their strength lies. Their steadfastness in carrying out worship, building strong families, and maintaining noble morals in the midst of a pluralistic society is clear evidence that Islam does not need a majority to be a light. The development of mosques in Malta. But who would have thought behind the church bells, now the call to prayer can be heard. Slowly but surely, mosques in Malta began to grow, becoming a symbol of the revival of Islam in a country that for centuries was synonymous with Christianity. The development of mosques in Malta began at the end of the 20th century. After years of Muslims carrying out their worship in limited conditions, finally in 1978, the Malta Islamic Center was established in Corradino, Paola. This mosque was built with the assistance of the Libyan government at that time, especially under the leadership of Muammar Gaddafi, who wanted to support the Muslim community abroad. This mosque is not just a place of worship. Inside there are classrooms, organizational offices, a public kitchen, and also a weekend school for Muslim children. For more than 4 decades, this mosque has been the only official mosque in Malta, and to this day remains the largest center of religious activity for Muslims in the country. As the number of Muslims in Malta increases, both immigrants, students, workers, and converts, the need for places of worship also increases. The central mosque in Paola is no longer able to accommodate all Muslim activities, especially during the month of Ramadan, Eid prayers, or other major events. Therefore, an initiative emerged from the local Muslim community to establish small prayer rooms in various areas, such as in Marsa, Masida, Birkirkara, and Gezira. These prayer rooms are usually shop houses or apartments that have been transformed into places of worship. Although simple, their existence is vital in bringing places of worship closer to Muslims who live far from the main mosque. However, these prayer rooms are semi-official. Many of them are not registered as legal places of worship, and their permits are limited. Some have faced pressure from their surroundings, although most have been able to operate because they maintain good relations with the local community. Establishing a mosque in Malta is not an easy matter. As a country with a Catholic majority and a small land area, Malta is very strict in terms of spatial planning and permits. The process of building a mosque requires approval from various parties, including local governments and local residents. Rejection of the establishment of a mosque often arises not because of legal reasons, but because of fear or ignorance of the community towards Islam. There are concerns that the mosque will become a center of radicalism or change the cultural identity of Malta, which has long been deeply rooted in Catholicism. Nevertheless, Muslims continue to approach it peacefully. They prioritize interfaith dialogue, open the doors of the mosque to anyone who wants to know Islam, and are actively involved in social activities. This strategy slowly melts the hearts of some Maltese people who were previously skeptical. Mosques in Malta do not only function as places of prayer, they become centers of education, gathering places, and a means of strengthening brotherhood between Muslims. This is where children are taught to read the Quran, converts are guided to learn about Islam, and families meet and share news. Every Ramadan, the main mosque in Paola holds a free iftar together. People from various countries gather, eat their respective specialties while sharing stories about their struggles in a foreign land. Moments like this strengthen Islamic brotherhood and foster a sense of brotherhood across nations. The mosque also becomes a place of consultation, especially for converts who need guidance in living their new life as Muslims. The imam and mosque administrators become mediators, listeners, and spiritual guides that are much needed. Currently, the Maltese Muslim community continues to push for the construction of a second official mosque in Malta, especially in the densely populated northern region of the island. Several organizations have submitted proposals to build a mosque equipped with a community center, library, and study space open to the public. Their goal is not only to serve Muslims, but also to create a space for open, tolerant, and educational interfaith dialogue. They want to build a mosque that is a bridge between Muslims and non-Muslims, not a dividing wall. The younger generation of Maltese Muslims are also increasingly active in social, educational, and cultural projects that are directly related to the community. They are beginning to appear as law-abiding religious citizens who care about the future of Malta. In this context, the mosque is not only a symbol of worship, but also a symbol of integration and positive social participation.